Okay, good morning, everyone. So this topic, security and DevOps, sounds like, on paper, it sounds like a very dry and not very interesting thing. But of course, security and information systems touches everyone's life out here. DevOps' goal is to shorten the development system, isn't it, to make it fast and agile and rapid. Can you give me a sense of what the state of security in the DevOps system is right now? Maybe Rashmi.
Yeah, security in DevOps is definitely one of the hottest trends in enterprise investing today. The whole movement of shifting left towards DevSecOps, and how do you integrate security as a key part of the development and the operations process, all the way from code design, code development, to the CI/CD process, ultimately deployment, is extremely important. There's obviously a number of companies putting together great products in this space. We have invested in a couple of companies out of our portfolio as well. So it's definitely one that's top of mind for most CIOs and CISOs today in terms of how do you make security more pervasive and include it as part of the development process versus it being an after-the-fact thought, which always is a harder problem to solve once you have the application deployed in production to try and fix security issues at that point. So it's definitely a trend that we're watching very closely.
And Andi, your company covers a sort of very cross-sectional business intelligence, machine learning. And do you find that companies bolt security on as part of that process? Or do you think they develop something with security in mind from the start?
It depends on the company, of course. There's a lot of companies that are really good at putting security foremost within their development practice. Yeah. But to a large degree, developers, engineers, like you say, DevOps is about moving quickly and trying to get stuff out. And a lot of people perceive security to be, the department of no. And they're the people who say, no, you can't release this yet. We haven't done a security test. We haven't done pen testing. And so developers, a lot of them, will just do what they're really good at, which is writing code and releasing code. It's changing. We're starting to see developers really understand that security is everyone's job. And if you don't bake security into your products right up front, you're actually spending more work and more effort down the pipeline. So it's changing. I think we've got a long way to go.
Is there a tension between speed and security? Because DevOps is about being agile and fast-moving, but of course speed is dangerous. You build something quickly, you run the risk of exposing yourself to a vulnerability. And then, of course, speed costs money. If you're too slow, or you're not agile enough, your bottom line can suffer. Do you think there's a collision between speed and security?
I would say that in the previous generation of security products, that was a case where you need to bundle up all the logs or whatever metrics come out of your code. You're sending it out to a different security product. You wait a week, and then you get the metrics back. That creates the tension between the DevOps team saying that they can't move fast enough, or it's not fitting in with the current way of, you think about agile development. But the products that we're finding today, including one that we've invested in, a company called Contra Security, they're really looking for ways to integrate within the development cycle, and the product is more real-time. And so as developers are writing and building code and deploying code, it embeds within the application developer ecosystem. And so it provides more real-time insights into, hey, this line of code has this security vulnerability, you can fix it right now. And it also prompts them with, this is how you would fix it. So it becomes just part and parcel of the actual development or the deployment process. Same on the CI/CD side. We have companies like Aqua, Twistlock, and others in the container and the serverless security space, which is well integrated within the CI/CD development process. And so it's not an after the fact of, I'm going to wait for days for my security metrics to show up. It's really a way of how you build, engineer, and deploy code. So it's seamless within that ecosystem.
Yeah, and the tooling is getting so much better. Like you said, the slowness of having a weekly report is just unsustainable. When agility, time to market, these are the competitive differentiators that my customers are looking at. And so having that real-time information, but also having the machine be able to do more. You mentioned the ideas around machine learning and bringing in AI into these processes. Having the ability to feed all of your pen tests, all of your code compliance testing, all into an analytics engine to be able to get that result straight away so that developers can see and start to take actually automated decisions around release. So I know, for example, that I'm 98% code complete, I'm 100% pen test complete, I'm 98% of Sev 1 problems have been solved, and now I can reliably use the automation tools that are so prominent within DevOps to do that continuous release cycle in a way that builds security in. So the products, I think, are becoming really important.
Mm-hmm.
Do you foresee a future where nearly all of this process becomes fully automated, or is there going to always be a human in the loop to make sure that the security systems are not? Because we were talking about code writing code, how do you ensure that that's secure?
Yeah, look, I actually see this already. There are some of my customers using Splunk to do exactly that. So they finish writing code, they check it in, they're using automation tools throughout their CI/CD pipeline, so they're checking into GitHub or Bitbucket or wherever it is, and then they're starting to put that through Jenkins and other tool sets to automate the process through all of the subsequent phases. So as an engineer, I write my code, I put it in the system, it compiles, set up white box, set up black box testing, get the results back. Results are automatically analyzed, and then the release decision is made automatically, maybe with gates, depending on risk factor, how important it is for the company. If it doesn't pass, that's when it goes back into code review. You don't bother the engineers with code review for code that is passing. And so I'm already seeing this in some of the more advanced organizations I'm working with. It's definitely not common. I don't know if you've seen more yourself.
Yeah, we see the same. So there's definitely a lot of, I would say, low-lying repetitive tasks that can absolutely be automated by tools. And we see that extensively in the CI/CD pipeline, where you have companies automating the entire process of pushing to GitHub, moving it through the different test production stages, and making sure that all of the automated tests are run. And the things that break, again, there is machine learning included within the tool to prioritize like what needs to be escalated and what not, because you might get 1,000 alerts out of it and not all of those are Sev 1 or need to be looked at. And so how do you create like a priority list of those? And the machine learns from the behavior. And so based on, the human in the loop intervention that may be available in the product today, it learns from that behavior to make it even better. Same on the pen testing side. We have invested in a company called Synac, which includes an automated machine learning product to identify vulnerabilities and securities in applications, could be web or mobile applications. But they also have a community of vetted researchers worldwide that are available to help their customers for zero-day response attacks or some more advanced attacks that are not necessarily available by the product today. But again, the product has the ability to learn from that. So we are having the humans really focus on the most advanced, most complex layer of those applications while the machine continues to automate the low-hanging fruit.
And I love that perspective, that getting the machines to do this rote work, the mundane, the routine, so you can free up. And this is where the cultural side of DevOps comes into play, right? Because you need the experts. You can't just assume, here at full stack, right? But you can't assume that developers are deep security experts. We're looking at a world of T-shaped people. You still need specialization, deep specialization. But bringing in the security experts and enabling them to encode in the pen tests, in the security tests, the knowledge that they have, so that when there are problems, they are free to react, and you get the machine to do more of that work. And this is part of this cultural side, I think, of DevOps, of bringing teams together, not just Dev and Ops now, but also security.
And that becomes incredibly important in a market where security talent is just hard to find. Even if we look at, the number of expert security researchers that are available in the overall space today, that number is abysmally small. And so we really need machine learning and artificial intelligence to provide that capability so that security becomes universally adopted by all companies that may not have the ability to hire the best talent, but can buy a product that can do it for them.
So we understand there's a lot of automation and a lot of human angle, but really security is all about humans, protecting humans and our data. And you were mentioning a shortage of talent. Do we need to change how we teach people who are entering university and learning to code about security? Is that a problem? Because traditionally, companies had teams. You had a team who developed the code, a team who embedded the code in the system, and a team who monitored security from then on. That's not how it should work. It should all be security all the way up. Is that something that needs to change?
That's something we're absolutely seeing changing, at least back in the States. There's a number of universities, top engineering universities, that are now offering security as something that their computer engineering departments offer as part of a major that they can do. And so the thesis behind that move is security needs to be part of an engineer's way of thinking. It's not that I'm just going to build code and it's somebody else's problem to figure out like what are the security vulnerabilities in the application. It is everyone's responsibility. And so there are definitely universities focusing on the fact to include security as part of the course curriculum. The great news is that a lot of startups are helping with this movement as well. So again, going back to our portfolio companies, like Synac is doing a number of hackathons or workshops with high school students and college students, educating them on how to be a security researcher early enough. And so they do like a week-long workshop in the summer, bringing together a handful of applicants. So about 50 people are brought in every summer. They get thousands of applications. So it's a pretty rigorous process to sort like which of those students they would want to bring in and put them through a week of working alongside their own security researchers. So they get a hands-on experience and go back to their schools and universities more educated about how security can be a way of thinking as they go through the engineering programs.
And Andi, you were mentioning a culture change, which moves on from this point. Do you feel like we have to move our culture away from prevention to more sort of knowing that you are already breached, assuming you're already breached, and then wargaming and working as teams as if you already had a breach? Is that something you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's vulnerable all the time. There are zero-day attacks.
Yeah.
There's an army, literally, of people trying to figure out how to penetrate every single piece of software, every single website. You've got to assume that this is going to happen to you. So you've got to have the tools in place ahead of time. You've got to be able to investigate. You've got to be able to get ahead of breaches. You've got to be able to look at the signals that indicate someone's trying to breach you. And again, data tells you these things. Machine learning can interpret them, masses of data in terms of, just who's coming into your environment, what your firewalls look like, what your switches and your network traffic looks like, who's pulling traffic, who's pulling content out of your databases. If you've got a senior executive who all of a sudden is logging on from Kazakhstan, pulling in 15 gigabytes of data out of your Oracle financial system, that might be an indicator someone's trying to attack you. So you've got to be able to look at this to predict and get ahead of problems as well. And that means that you have to assume that you're being attacked at least, if not already breached.
You're saying effectively, we're all saying that we shouldn't put security into DevOps. You should put DevOps into security. Like, it should be a fully integrated process with awareness and predictions. Hot topic at the moment, of course, is that if you have a fully secure system that has security built in mind right from the get-go, you can't put a backdoor in it. And there's a lot of pressure at the moment. There's a lot of discussion from governments asking access to databases of many different types. Can we agree that a backdoor is just completely incompatible with a fully secure system?
Yeah, that's something that a lot of tech companies have come into the limelight recently in a negative way around consumer privacy and how much of the data should be opened up to either agencies or marketing firms. And at least at Microsoft, we are extremely serious about consumer privacy and are of the strong belief that consumer data should be considered as valuable as our own IP, and there absolutely should be no way to get access into the consumer data without permissions of the customers. Having the backdoor, seems to be a way to justify free software. At least that's what a lot of companies say, that if you're getting the product for free, you should at least let me use the data, which again, in my opinion, this is my opinion alone, is not the right strategy, because if the customer does not know what their data is being used for, it can be misused in a number of multiple ways that the parent tech company has no control on. Once there is a backdoor created, You can't control who's going to come in through that back door. There could be bad actors within the organization. There could be applications that figure out a way to get in. And so creating that has a lot of risks and negative implications that the parent company has less control on. So the way is to, make sure you have a solid system. If customers choose to share their data, that should be something that is told to them upfront. And with technologies like blockchain, it becomes even easier where customers can be incentivized to share their data. So we can be on a blockchain, and if you want to share your private information, you put it on the blockchain, you get compensated for that, and it's your own choice. It's not a surprise to anyone. So that's kind of what our point of view is.
DevOps is sometimes called the holy grail of application development because it's a very streamlined process and it's a very hot topic. But it's a very hot topic now, and we develop code differently beforehand. Can you give us a sense of the direction that this is going to go in? Are we going to still be doing DevOps? Is that or something new come and take along the holy grail title?
I think there's a lot of change is going to happen continually. We're in an industry which changes constantly and morphs and evolves, and that's an awesome thing. I fundamentally believe that DevOps is just part of the answer. If all you're doing is accelerating and collaborating between development and operations, you're really just shifting the bottleneck. DevOps doesn't start with dev and it doesn't end with ops, right? You've got all sorts of other departments, not just within technology teams. So you've got people like QA, security, even things like the PMO, the project management office. Downstream, you've got release management systems and so forth. But then you need to make sure that your business is able to keep up with the pace. This is easy for Silicon Valley companies, startups who are very small. Everyone's all on one team. Everyone's together. Salespeople are talking to the product developers. They all work together. When you talk with larger enterprises, a lot of Splunk's business is with the larger enterprises. Imagine every day having a new release of your front-end banking client so that everyone at the front office has to be retrained every day to be able to use a new client. We need to understand that delivering faster software has to be compatible with your business outcomes. And this is where I see DevOps actually expanding further into business, into agile business, downstream and upstream from the planning and strategy, all the way down to the marketing, sales, and customer interactions.
Yeah, the penalties of not including security as part of your development process are pretty steep. As what we've seen recently with, the Equifax examples and Target examples and others, where a simple case of an application not being patched can lead to half of the US population's data being exposed. And so it's no longer a choice, it's really a requirement of how do you create a DevSecOps culture. And it's more of a shared responsibility across the CIO and the CISO's org, where the CIO is no longer just responsible for IT procedures and developing applications. They also have a security responsibility and have a job to lose if, the company gets breached for whatever reason.
Perfect. Well, this is a very difficult topic. Thank you very much for introducing it to us all, and thanks for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.